Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Today I want to introduce WordPro to you. It's a digital tool for vocabulary building. Let me start with my team. Most of them South African professionals. I did consider bringing them, but the airfare is expensive and teleporting is dangerous. So I left them at home. My US team consists of myself. My name is Valdi. I'm a graduate student in the MS ITE program. I have a freshman who joined me recently to help with the marketing. Ruben doesn't know it yet, but his entire summer has just been canceled. How many of you had a terrible high school experience?
Well, it didn't.
Mine sucked. Right? I was that student. 9th grade, second semester, I failed English, which was kind of challenging given that I was in an English medium school, so all my classes were in English, and yet I failed English. It was challenging. I thought at the time, it's the South African environment, there's only English Afrikaans, I'm speaking Afrikaans, I'm the minority, it's no big deal, just one student that failed. Fast forward a few years and you get to the post-apartheid era. Guess what happened? We went from 2 official languages to 11. The problem that I thought was just mine suddenly was this big. And I was like, you know what? I should look into this. Maybe there's an opportunity here. So I dug into the numbers. I did some secondary research looking at reports from the Department of Education. Here's what I discovered. There are 11 official languages. English is not the most widely spoken. If you look at the second table, that's my grade 12 students. There's about 600,000 grade 12 students in South Africa. 540,000 of them take English as their second language. I suddenly felt much better about my F. Take that same number, extrapolate it over the 5 grades of high school, 8 through 11, you got 2.5 million students taking English as a second language. 93% of those students have mobile phones. Therein lies the opportunity. I did some research with students and with teachers, and I said, look guys, clearly there's a problem here. What can we do outside of the textbook and outside of the teacher? What else? And I said, you know what, let's start with the basics. Let's just do a digital flashcard system. I could do that. So going through my research, talking to students, talking to teachers, we came up with a list of items. They obviously wanted to at least match or exceed their high school vocabulary that they had to learn. Fair enough. They wanted to include audio for pronunciation. That is not something that you get very easily from a textbook. It was an expensive value add, but I think totally worth it. We included the part of speech as an extra value add item. So when a student looks at the word, they can see its association. It's a noun, it's an adjective, it's a preposition, and so forth. They can select the words by categories, so the teacher can assign homework. Today, you will learn days of the week. Very easy to go pick the days of the week and get through those 7 items. It keeps track of the scores. There are fun elements included, which is something that I only included in the last focus group because I had a 12-year-old look at me and go, this works great, but it's really boring. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what do you mean by boring? They said add the fun elements. We added the fun elements. This is what it looks like right now. A couple of fun elements. I also saw from that there was advantages from the vendor's perspective. I built a framework that is easily replicable. So I can now produce any language in that same framework at a fraction of a cost compared to my first language. There's just some examples. My content is stored in a spreadsheet. And price point is a question that came up before. That's just a little example there. At $4.99, it translates to 75 South African rands. And the image on the right, an empty pencil case, is going to cost a student 81 rands. Here's where we are on the money. So far, $10,000 self-funded. What we're looking at next is getting the English Afrikaans vocabulary to the market, following with English Zulu and English Xhosa. There we are. Questions?
Questions from our judges?
The little glimpse of the app looked great and intuitive. I'm just wondering if you've looked at other English language learning apps. I can think of, like there's Duolingo, there's English Central, there's Memrise for English. Have you sort of surveyed others, and is there something that those don't do that you felt another app was the right way to go?
Actually, there's something that they do that we don't want them to do. And that is all the other apps, particularly something like Duolingo, the smaller ones. They're all internet intensive, they require high bandwidth, etc. The problem with a lot of these third world countries is the cost of bandwidth. So one of the requirements that came out with me was, yeah, the app is great, but the parent isn't going to pay for every click that happens. So my app is completely self-contained, it installs completely on the phone, entire database, all the words, all the audio. The only time the student will need internet access is if they share the results on social media or if there's an update to the app. The advantage of that, the student cannot say that they didn't have bandwidth and that they couldn't do their homework.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? WordPro.